Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's Feeling Fit with FSHD. We meet every second and fourth Thursday of the month at noon Eastern Time. So it's accessible to folks over in Europe and Africa, not such a crazy time for them, and also not too early in the morning for West Coasters. So we're trying to accommodate as wide an audience as we can. And it looks like we have people from all over. So if you want to go into the chat and tell us where you're joining us from today, it's always exciting to see how far flung our community is. And with that, I am really pleased to introduce Lonwabo Nene, who is from South Africa. And he has given some presentations here at Feeling Fit, I think 2 years ago. He realized he had FSHD a number of years ago and found a trainer who really gave him a lot of help and insight. And he's also done a lot of work and has really such a great understanding of how exercise can benefit him and address his various issues. And so now he's convened today's meeting to have a conversation because FSHD affects people in so many ways, and he would like to gain insights from you to help inform some of his thinking about how to develop, guided exercises that address. I don't know if that's a good way to put it, but I will turn things over to Lonwabo now.
All right. Good day to all Feeling Fit members from all across the world, in America. My name is Lonwabo Nene. I'm from South Africa. And first, before we start, please excuse me the angle of the camera itself. Kind of having technical difficulties, please just bear with me on that part. But yes, my journey with just a really quick rundown of myself. My journey with FSHD began about 10 years ago. I believe I'm 26, turning 27 now, and got diagnosed via biopsy after many years from the onstart of puberty. Kind of noticed from being very physically fit to all of a sudden struggling to do simple push-up. Maybe I used to do about 30. And then by the time I was 14, 12 to 14, I struggled with that. Pull-ups, struggled with sports as well. Kind of saw my performance dip. And essentially, cut a long story short, I went to a physician. The physician looked at me once, told me to press my hands against the wall. And that was the first time I actually saw the winged scapula, which I actually had. From that point on, got a biopsy done and came back for FSHD. My condition was really worsening during that time when I was diagnosed from ages of 14, 15, 16. I got diagnosed at about 16 and we had to move cities so that I could get really better healthcare. One of the best decisions we ever made, we literally uprooted ourselves and we changed cities to a better place, metropolitan, and met up with a biokineticist by the name of Damien Zealand, who a lot of the tips and tips that are tricks and that I'll be sharing with you today actually come from him as well. So throughout all the Feeling Fit sessions, I share those. And I saw my condition improve. Something that I realize is pretty rare and has really forced me to understand the mechanics of my own management, my own exercises that I've done, having spoken to many other members and patients of FSH and across many various other neuromuscular conditions as well. I've gained a lot of insight in understanding how to manage the certain conditions, the symptoms that we have. Yes, there is no cure yet. Some other conditions make it better. I've got many other various methods that I use, but that doesn't mean that they'll be applicable to a lot of other folks as well. Maybe my condition was very mild, less severe of an FSH than some other member, but I try to understand all of these various different methodologies and exercises, low impact exercises, how we can now work on the balancing, work on the foot drop, work on the serratus anterior, all these other various aspects as well. So that's kind of my own rundown of who I am. And I guess today's session is pretty different from the other sessions that I've done, that I've seen as well. Because, as I said, I've spoken with various members within the muscular dystrophy space. And I really would like to almost compile a list of various exercises and methods that we use from ourselves to manage the day-to-day challenges that we may face with FSH. It's pretty difficult because, again, the severity spectrum of it is really vast. Just really thinking from when I was 16, time I was 17, 18, I experienced loss of cartilage. My knee would pop out of place. I stopped playing sports. I really experienced almost hemiplegic symptoms on the right-hand side. Symptoms that I still do feel to a certain degree now, but I'm a lot stronger than what I was then. So almost today's session is sharing my own experiences and the experiences of those that have messaged me over the years, to ask for certain types of help as well, and things that I may have prescribed or not prescribed. I'm not a physician at all, but suggested perhaps. And hearing from you as well, listening, the members who have joined in, maybe your own little tips and tricks as well. I will request to June, perhaps. I would like to do the next Feeling Fit session as well, where I'll also be handing out a presentation as I did before. So without further ado, I believe let me get into the reading of the agenda itself. Can you still see me, June, if I pull up another screen? I'm not going to be sharing my screen, but can you see me now?
I can still see you, and
Okay,
if you'd
great.
like, I could pull it up if you're having difficulty there.
No problem. I think I'm just going to be reading it from certain cases.
Okay.
Yes, okay. So I would first like to read the little agenda that I had sent to June as well, and that was shared on the website, so that you can kind of get a basic idea before I start sharing my own thoughts and views. Greetings from South Africa to all Feeling Fit members and moderators. This is an interactive discussion of possible exercises for all levels of FSH. So as the title suggests, this Feeling Fit session may be different from others that I've been a part of. Over the years, I've received a number of emails from FSH patients from all over the world, and I've interacted with many more through my DMs. These are heartfelt and sincere messages, often from the patients themselves. However, I do also receive the email from the concerned parent and caregiver who was moved by the experience and exercises shared. They often seek for more information and further suitable movements that they can introduce to their child or loved one who they observe is losing mobility and strength by the day. I offer my support where I can, but always direct to the FSHD Society website, YouTube channel, and link to request to be part of the Feeling Fit sessions. I've also connected others to fellow FSH members here in South Africa who I knew had gone through similar experiences and would be able to offer a more tailored approach to their requests. Therefore, I decided to use this opportunity of hosting the Feeling Fit session to ask for your assistance in better understanding the different scenarios that these FSH patients and members may find themselves in. I'm able to answer the distressed mother who is worried about a 16-year-old son's mental health after his diagnosis a lot better than the mid-60-year-old patient who is now considering scapulothoracic fusion surgery. That is because I too was once 16 and an athlete and was going through this entire journey with my mother as well. So the exercises and regimens that I offer will be more relevant to the 16-year-old and his general fitness levels relative to his early diagnosis of FSHD. Juxtapose this with the patient who is in the mid-60s and has lost almost all of her overhead mobility and scapular protraction abilities. I soon found myself in a very unique predicament. I do wish to help, but the exercises will not be the same. Perhaps even the low-impact exercises may not be suitable. So I refer them to another FSH member who had gone through similar scenarios, and they are extremely grateful. I hope I have provided enough of a prelude to my unorthodox session. I wish to keep this agenda document to one page. Last two will do. I kindly ask that you read each of the following 4 cases of patients and the caregivers that have contacted me through email and DMs over the years and help me curate a suitable exercise regimen that may be beneficial for their circumstances. So I truly hope that gave a bit of a rundown to today's session. As I said, it's all about a better viewpoint, a better understanding from various perspectives, from early onset FSHD to late diagnosis, throughout the various ages, from ages of 16, 12, pre-puberty, adolescence, right up to adulthood, and up to senior level as well. And so the first case that I would like to get into, very important, no email identities will be shared within this session itself. And I will be speaking about the case, speaking about how I offered my own suggestions. And then after that, maybe I'll open up the floor to one person who would like to almost do their own input before moving on to the next case. There's 4 cases in particular. And at the end of it, I would kindly ask, and if there is a point here that I made, I would like to find out if there is a paper or research material pointing to the high prevalence of initial right-handed winging and weakness opposed to the left-hand side of the body in FSH cases. This is a point that has always intrigued me over the years of FSH. Apparently, I'm not the only FSH patients that experienced initial right-handed winging and weakness to this day. My right-hand side is a lot weaker than my left-hand side, to the point where my left is actually my new right. I'm actually a right-hander, but I'm actually a lot stronger with my left. But a lot of FSH patients I've observed over the years and listened to their own journeys, they will say initially there was right-handed winging before the bilateral winging, and then all the other subsequent issues then followed after that. So I would greatly appreciate if anybody would like to almost point me to the direction if there is a research paper or material about that, as I'd like to dig in a bit more and why it's so prevalent first on the right-hand side than it is on the left-hand side. But we will carry on the first case. And the first case is, I believe, a female that contacted me in 2021. Female patients with FSH suffering from extreme lordosis with pronounced neck pain. Patient does mention it could be another form of neuromuscular issue, although we can say it's more of a congenital abnormality or malformation of the spine. And patient does mention she's mid-30s, in her 30s. She is struggling to walk. Neck pain subsides when laying down, but lower back hurts. So when she had reached out to me, I decided to put more emphasis on rest and sleeping. So the lordosis itself is a very natural curvature of the spine that we actually do have. It really helps with posture, and it helps us with shock absorption when we are walking as well. So this is a natural thing to have. However, when it's exaggerated, that is when all of a sudden now we experience the hyperlordosis. And the general symptoms that we face with hyperlordosis is the protruding abdomen. The posture, we've got exaggerated sway back as well. We've got low balance and a weakness in the legs. We may even experience sciatica. And so, as I said, I put more emphasis on rest and sleeping. One thing that I would even recommend to a lot of FSH patients that I tried myself too, on the second Feeling Fit presentation that I handed out, I believe I showed various methods that I would use when I was sleeping, like sleeping with my arm outstretched to help actually promote that external rotation, to not actually be tight within the shoulder girdle itself. Those are very unorthodox methods that I use myself to just try and promote the external rotation that I felt as well. And those are certain things that helped. Obviously, you cannot remain in that same position throughout the night, but just sitting down, if I was reading a book, I would always try to promote my hand in a supinated positioning. So supinated would be with my arm facing up, just to try and keep that external rotation there. So stuffing the pillow or two under the knees while laying on back will greatly ease the lumbar spine stiffness. And this is done because without proper sleep, it's really difficult to function the following day. A really good sleep hygiene, really good circadian rhythm is what we need, particularly if you're experiencing FSH. We need that recovery period where our bodies are not under as much pressure as they are during the day, because we are constantly being attacked by the FSH gene. And so we need to be restful. We need to keep ourselves calm in order to get a good night's sleep. So we stuff a pillow or two under the knees while laying down, and that greatly eases the lumbar spine stiffness. This is done because of the bent knee, which alleviates pressure on the hip flexors. And so that will take out the entire and pelvic anterior tilt. So we do experience that when the hip flexors are tight. So the two pillows underneath really takes off the tension on the lower back, promoting the spine into a more neutral position. And then obviously for the neck pain itself. So the neck pain subsides when she lays down, but it actually, the back all of a sudden hurts when she's laying, the neck pain subsides when she's laying down, but the lower back hurts. And so we can use the cervical pillow to help her for the neck, the positioning. So a cervical pillow is an orthopedic pillow that we can buy, that we use. I'm pretty sure that maybe there's some other FSH patients out there that use it, and maybe they have their own experience with it. So this just helps to put the spine in a more neutral positioning that we can find ourselves in, that will help to promote a much better sleep as well. So that was the first case of FSH patient. Although she does mention it could be another form of neuromuscular issue, I put more emphasis not necessarily on exercise. I think that's something that I would like to talk about as well in this Feeling Fit session. It's not always about exercise. It's about what can we do now to help ourselves tomorrow. The name itself, Feeling Fit, is actually a pretty cool a name and term itself. We can feel fit even though we may not necessarily feel it. So certain types of aspects and factors that we can pay more attention to, such as sleep, such as health, such as exercises as well. Even certain things such as the mental health that we actually experience. Very certain, very small, little minute changes that we do from the day. As my biokineticist would say, that 1% or 0.1% every day adds up and compounds over time. I'm opening up the floor perhaps to any FSH member who has actually used perhaps a cervical pillow or has experienced lordosis themselves. I'll just be writing down notes. Are there any sort of tips that you have that you share or that you have used over the years that have helped you by any chance?
Rick?
Well, I've been going to chiropractors for many years, and they often offer a pillow that is very good for the neck and spine. So the one that I've gotten recently is a pillow that has kind of an indentation in the center of it, so that my neck rests back and the head dips down in a little bit, and it's heavier on the side. So when I'm side sleeping, it cushions my head in the proper position for side sleeping. So that's my input there.
I like that a lot. So it's almost ergonomic pillow, if I'm not correct. Ergonomics to help you with the proper posture, sleeping if you're sleeping on the side, to help alleviate the pressures that you may experience. Right, I like that. Thank you very, very much, Rick, for that. I've kept the notes down. And if there isn't any other member, I would like to continue to the second case itself. And there we go.
Oh, ask? Maybe other people might have
Oh
some.
yes, oh yes, yes.
So the lordosis is occurs because the core muscle strength is weakening, right? I think for the most part. So I'm wondering if people have found core exercises that maybe help, they felt have helped their spinal stability, or exercises or braces. No. Rick was nodding.
I do. Thank you, June. Thank you, Lonwabo. I did make a note in the chat that I have that pillow I use when I go on the airplane. I use that at night and it supports my neck, and it seems to work for me. And then as far as my abdominals go, yeah, I do some planks every day and some kind of sit-ups. Also, if I lie on my back with my knees bent, I could do pelvic tilts. So I could tilt my pelvis, the anterior tilt where it tilts under, and it activates the abdominals and flattens the back. And then tilt it back the other way, and then just back and forth, moving through that way. But I'm still able to do that. I don't have really bad lordosis. That might be painful for some people, I realize. But when I just notice when it's in that tilted, that anterior tilt where it's tilting under and the back is flat, the abdominals naturally contract. So it's also bringing that awareness to that part of the body.
Thank you so much for sharing that. It's a very good point indeed. I'm just making all these notes here.
One final note about the pillows under the knees, so important. So, because sometimes also if I am sleeping at someone else's house and I don't have the pillows under my knees, I don't sleep well and I get pins and needles in my legs. But when the pillows are supporting my legs, I don't get that.
I'm very glad to also hear that there's been experience of members who have actually used these types of tips and tricks over the years, and they have been pretty beneficial. So if there's no other maybe hand raised, I would like to continue. Is that okay, June? Because I can't really see on my end. Okay.
Yeah, I don't see any hands up.
Just one thing, I'm not, my hand isn't raised because I can't find my hand raised right now. But I do want to mention that I also do core exercises pretty much daily, similar to what was just described, but also at the gym, probably 3 or 4 times a week at the gym. I'll do the crunch machine and the back extension machine. And I have found that on those machines that my ability to crunch, as an example, that I'm using more weight than I was maybe 2 or 3 months ago when I first really dedicated myself to it. And it's helped me a little bit with, when I'm out walking and going to the store and that sort of thing. I do feel a little bit stronger in terms of my abdomen. But I also, when I do a lot of walking, I use the belt that you can strap onto your abdomen, and it's got the ability to tighten it nicely, and it gives some added stability for when I'm really trying to get a good walk in. So that, has been helpful. And in addition, when I'm really trying to get a good walk in, I get the walking sticks out, and I don't know, I get maybe, 3,000 steps in, which is, not bad for a workout at my age. 10 years ago, it was not an issue at all. I could walk miles, but it's not the case these days. So anyway. That's
Thank you
it.
so much for that. I like how you mentioned the somatic exercise. So where it's not necessarily about how the technique or how you look. In fact, it's about how you're feeling when you're doing it. So it's a lot more intrinsic and a lot more self-introspective when you're doing the exercise itself, so that you can actually feel that you are activating certain muscles, which is very important indeed. I'd like to go to case 2. Daughter, case 2. She contacted me in about year 2022. So this is the daughter contacting for the mother. The daughter asked for exercises, suggestions for a mother with FSH diagnosis of 12 plus years. The age is unknown. However, having reviewed her and what she said and what she mentioned, I think a mother should be in the late 50s, maybe early 60s. She does mention that she's a bit too frail for her age, and the upper body has started to weaken. And so she's not been able to use the assistive devices that she used, such as walkers, a crutch as well. So, however, she's still mobile. However, they were planning to get a wheelchair. So this was in 2022. This is a case that stuck with me as well, hence why I'm mentioning it. If I'm not mistaken, a part-time wheelchair user is known as an ambulatory wheelchair user. So at this stage, the main focus was, how can we ensure that she uses the wheelchair when she needs to? Maybe they're going out to the store. Maybe she woke up that day, she's not really feeling very good. Her balance is off. Maybe the muscle fibers are a bit tight. However, around the house, if she's still able to support herself, maybe use the wall, use certain objects, the structures around the house to perhaps even make herself a cup of tea. This is a conversation that I've had with even other members from the gym itself, who do not have FSH, but who maybe had sugar, diabetes, they had gout, and one member himself at the gym said he was suffering from obesity, and the reason why he joined the gym was so that he can live a better lifestyle, so that he could see his grandchildren, right? So he would ask his son to take him to the gym, but the gym was about 15 minutes away from his house. So he said he just wanted to get to the gym once without having to call his son to take him to the gym and then come back again. So this was about 3 years back. I saw him recently, and literally I was in awe with the amount of progress that he had made. So because he just wanted to get to the gym by himself. So I kind of use this real life example of, there are those little wins that we may feel that, yes, we are getting weaker at the age of maybe 60. We feel like we're at our 80s because now we don't have the same amount of mobility. We have restrictions that we may feel. However, if we can be able to make ourselves a certain cup of tea, how can we ensure that this FSH member is able to stand and make the necessary water there, boil the water without hurting herself for 2 minutes, and actually make that tea and get herself back, maybe holding the cup of tea with the amount of balance and muscle awareness and body awareness around the surroundings, to sit down back in the chair to be able to enjoy the cup of tea. So as I said, these are certain things that I keep in mind whenever I am trying to reply back to certain members who reach out to me. As I said, it's not always about exercise, hence why I wanted to reach out to you folk for really great tips that you've already shared. Some days will be good, some days will be bad. So we have to keep in mind the state of FSH as well, and figure out a plan to kind of retard the degenerative progress itself. For this certain type of member, as I said, those are certain things that I did mention. I would assume maybe they were going to think of getting her a remote assisted wheelchair. But another thing that I did mention was the assisted exercise, because yes, the range of motion is now limited. She can't really, she's feeling weaker than what she was feeling maybe years ago, 12 plus years of a diagnosis. She is very much aware of her own body. So assisted exercises, maybe a trainer, a caregiver, even the daughter herself may be helping her with. So assisted exercises would be somebody else applying the resistance or helping you throughout the motion itself. So certain types of things such as to actually to raise your arm, to stretch your arm. If you can only kind of raise your arm to this type of the positioning, somebody else will come along without hurting you and kind of ask you, okay, how does it feel if we raise it to about this angle? How does it feel if we go this side? And you kind of go about that with certain types of reps and sets, doing laying down as well to target the abs, to target certain types of other areas as well, exercises that you will need help with. But as I said, what are the little wins that we can make on the day to day that you can kind of get out of bed? Okay, I got out of bed today by myself. Maybe I may not really need help. Maybe tomorrow, it's maybe difficult for me to get into bed because it's now cold. It's winter. Certain types of things like that. Another thing that I like to say is throughout conversations as well I've had with other folks, members and patients living with Dushan, they would always say they really had to fight their own inner thoughts of using a wheelchair or whatever sort of type of assistant device was not about giving in. So it's not that they were giving in to their problems or their challenges, but they saw it as a tool, literally, to allow them to experience the world in a way that allowed them to actually be within it as well. It's about conserving your energy when you need it most, and obviously to prevent any further injuries. I don't know if you have heard about that case that I just said now. So just important notes. Her upper body, she's in the 60s, started getting too weak to support assistive devices. She was still mobile. However, she was planning to get a wheelchair. So I spoke about little wins. If she can walk, she can support herself around the house to do little things before she gets tired, before she feels like maybe she's losing her balance. Those are things that we can do. Assisted exercises, getting up off of the chair. Maybe she can do that herself. Maybe she has to kind of throw her weight on this angle in order to get off the chair. Maybe tomorrow she'll need help to get off the chair. But those are exactly all the little things that I spoke about, little exercises, the little 0.1% that you can do every day. And then using the wheelchair, maybe when you go outside for walks, going to the store, and all the other assistive devices as well. So I'd like to open up the floor here as well. If maybe there is a member here who has maybe experienced this condition, who was in a very similar situation as well. And if you can kind of share your own experiences, if you would like. I see Darlene Johnson.
Yeah, no, let me get rid of that first. Okay, yeah, I was in a car accident about 25 years ago, and that's when a physical therapist noticed that my body wasn't moving quite right. And they did some testing on me and thought that I might have some form of muscular dystrophy. And the only way to diagnose it for sure then was to take a muscle biopsy. And they told me it was about a 4-inch piece of healthy muscle. And I said, well, I'm not willing to give up healthy muscle, so I'll just go on with my life. And probably about 12 or 15 years ago, I had a DNA test which confirmed that I had muscular dystrophy. And I think about you in your youth, and I look back to my childhood, and now knowing about FSH dystrophy, I've had it my whole life, and I adapted. And I was very athletic in my youth, and I was a runner, and I did Highland Scottish dancing, and did a lot of biking and everything. And I noticed, especially the running and the biking, when I started out, it was much harder for me than it was for my peers. And I didn't understand, but as I worked at it, I got better at it. Now I'm 65, and I do use a mobility scooter. I can't walk long distances. I use a walker in the house. I've been instructed to do that to make sure I don't have a fall. But I think one thing that is hard to overcome as we get weaker, and like you said, for me, sleep plays a huge role in my life. If I have a poor night's sleep, I'm much weaker the next day. And sometimes it'll take me 2 or 3 days to recover from that. But also, when I was first diagnosed, I was warned against exercise. You don't want to exercise because you'll do damage to your muscles. And it's just in recent years that they've been saying, oh no, you should do a little bit of exercise. And so what we need to recognize is not to overdo it, but to be consistent at it, and we can see improvement. Just little bits every day, and we can see improvement. And on one day, if it feels like too much to do that, then don't do it. Do it the next, wait a day or two before you try it. But also, we need to recognize that this is a progressive disease, and there's no way around that. And like, I just think fitness, doing the best we can, is the best way to stave it off, but also accept the fact that it is progressive.
Very much for that, Darlene, if I'm correct. Yes, most definitely. Listening to your body, not overdoing it, and choosing the right types of exercises that have the right fatigue to the stimulus ratio, and just programming that throughout your week is most definitely important. And sleep, yeah, thank you very much for also hitting the nail on that part. Sleep and recovery is very important indeed. I would like to carry on to case number 3. So this case is one that really touched my heart the most. Really, it was really close to home, because it was a mother reaching out for her 16-year-old son. And just want to see if I can, okay, there we go. I see a message here. Slept 9 hours last night. Oh, geez, that's incredible. I cannot imagine. I would probably feel like Superman after 9 hours of sleep. But yes, please get as much hours of sleep as you can. You literally feel a lot better and almost superhuman in that sense. That is definitely true. 9 hours of sleep is the goal. Yeah. I will try to get 9 hours of sleep today or tomorrow, over the weekend. Yeah, definitely. So yeah, so I think it was last year or the year 2023. The mother was reaching out for a 16-year-old son. They were both diagnosed with FSHD. The son is incredibly tall. I mean, when I heard 6'4", and I immediately thought, okay, he must be a basketball player, and he was a basketball player. Just for reference, I am about 5'6". Okay, so I'm not tall at all. So I could not imagine the unique challenges that he faces living with FSH, having those muscular imbalances, having to come up with his own compensation patterns. I really had to put myself in his shoes, and having such a unique trait of being 6'4", but experiencing these types of symptoms and realizing maybe his athletic career is now literally falling through his hands. That was something that I could resonate with a lot. Right-handed winged scapula, loss of strength and protraction, and abdominal area. So the email that the mother, she was very thorough with her family history, incredibly clued up. She understood, she was able to kind of track back and see how certain family members in the family were actually, they might have had FSH, but due to the technological advances back then, lack of medical knowledge as well, he was maybe, obviously too, during that time, there were certain types of diseases as well that would affect the neuromuscular components of the body as well. So all these will play a factor as well in the family history. But she goes on to say there's no lower extremity weakness whatsoever. So we're going to keep that in mind as I go to unfolding this case, and considering scapular fusion surgery to increase quality of life. She mentioned Dr. Anthony Romeo, if I'm not correct, who I watched a lot of his videos and seen the incredible quality of life that he was able to give his FSH patients. So yes, that is an option indeed. And I've seen some great results with that. And the exercises that then will be prescribed by certain OTs, physiotherapists, will be very much tailored towards that condition after the surgery as well. So because the mother and son were diagnosed, this does give us a genetic link and a hereditary history of the FSH. So at least the son won't have to worry about maybe going through years and years of misdiagnosis that I'm sure many members here probably have the stories to tell about that. Going through biopsy here, going through genetic tests here, not being able to pinpoint the exact problem. So it's FSH. They were both diagnosed with it. It's very unfortunate. Nobody wants to be living with FSH or any other sort of neuromuscular issue. But because they have this bond together, they can be able to help each other to fight it. Very important. The son is 6'4", as I said, 193 centimeters. So as I said, that's a lot of weight and bone mass, particularly when you factor in the unilateral imbalances, the weaknesses, the progressive state of the FSH as well. These are all factors we have to keep in mind. I had to keep in mind when speaking to him as well. Mitch Wade, I believe that we are very familiar with him now. He has done a number of sessions here, and I always enjoy tuning in. I even follow his Instagram page when he's going through with his patients. He has an analogy of a cell tower that I would like to kind of reiterate here. So this is a Mitch Wade analogy that I really love, and all props to him for using it, because he has an analogy that of a cell tower that if it leans too forward to one end, we have two wires on the back end to actually pull it into the natural state of it. And so if it leans forward, if it leans back, we pull the opposing wires to actually straighten it out. So we can kind of view the human body in very similar the condition too. If our core is weak, yes, we can do core exercises to target the actual muscles themselves and strengthen those. But let's not forget about strengthening the back muscles too. Let's not forget about the thoracic extensions. Let's not forget about the serratus anteriors to actually help to keep that shoulder good, to help to keep that scapula in place. Let's not forget about the hamstrings. So we have to work within unison. We have to work, if we work with the abs, we do the back exercises too. So thoracic extensions and back strengthening exercises. This is, I'm very sad that my camera kind of is like this. But as I said to June, I would like to do the second FSH session where I'll kind of be diving into a lot more of these exercises, showing them, demonstrating them, because this one exercise is one that we can literally do in our seats now. So it is the scapular retraction and serratus anterior activation that I was taught by my own biokineticist. It's a really neat trick that I would like to show within the next FSH session. But if you can see me here, feeling fit session, you can see me here right now, the way I'm sitting. It goes back to that somatic exercises as well. Really kind of feel the scapular retraction where we depress the scapula down, and also we try to actually retract it. We try to get them to touch as much as possible. So if we kind of feel it, if I can illustrate it, we depress the scapula themselves, and then we retract them closer together. But while doing that, we try to activate the serratus anterior. So it's the serratus anterior is activated throughout movements when we are doing maybe the push-up, the punching movement. I like to refer to it as the Rocky muscle. You know, we've got those shark teeth here. Bodybuilders, if you go to the gym a lot, you will see, they're very well defined serratus anterior. So that also reveals a very healthy scapular health as well. But I would like to show that in the next session. It's also going to be in the presentation itself. So that is strengthening the back muscle, strengthening the stabilizers themselves too. And then when we go to the abdomen as well, that's when we now look at okay, how can we now strengthen the abdomen itself, core exercises as well. There's going to be a whole host of those, but I'll try to keep it to maybe 2 exercises. She also goes to mention there is no lower extremity weakness whatsoever. So this is one that I truly hope is still the case to now. So low extremity issues do arise as well, maybe very small, very slowly. I remember when I was 13 years of age, I was doing cross country, but when I turned 13, 14, I experienced a foot drop during that time. So that did make me not being able to pursue that, as running. But the low extremity weaknesses, they present themselves very slowly over the years. And that doesn't mean that just because we cannot walk or we literally are falling now, that they may not present themselves. As a member here just mentioned, we need to keep in mind that this is a progressive condition. And so what can we do now to actually prevent this from becoming a massive, faster issue? So there are Johnny Wilkinson's exercises. I don't know if there are any rugby fans. South Africa is a big rugby nation. Johnny Wilkinson is a former English rugby player, and he has a very unique and memorable kicking stance. So the reason why we call them Johnny Wilkinsons is because the starting position of the exercise itself is actually within that kicking stance that he has. I don't know if these are actual real exercises, but my bike kineticist taught me them because I struggle to do the squat itself. So it's almost quarter squat, where it's a quarter squat, it's a side lunge hybrid exercise that really kind of gets you set up for that squat when you are actually able to do it as well. And keeping in mind, this young man is 6'4", so I do understand that squats can be pretty difficult for tall individuals, whether they are long femurs, not even factoring in FSH. So this is a very good variant of the exercise itself. It does target the glutes. Yes, you don't get that that good stretch within the glutes to actually activate them, because the glutes are a major issue for me, are a major issue for a lot of FSH patients too. That's kind of how we lose the balance. The foot drop occurs too. As again, all these subsequent issues that arise from the top down. They may seem to not really be connected to each other, but are actually integrated to the issues and the problems that arise later on down the years. Again, I'm going to be opening up the floor. I do see that we have about 10 minutes left. So if there is a member that would like to talk about, maybe they are tall, maybe particularly tall or uniquely tall, and they experienced FSH symptoms, how did they kind of overcome this? If not tall, maybe a family member was, because we are speaking about that unique trait in this case itself, and being young as well. I spoke about my own experiences. I remember a member here as well spoke about hers. Okay, I don't see to be any members. Okay, no, that is great. Yes, so again, I said this case is one that is very close to my heart, because he was at that stage that I was at, going through with it with his mother. I will be showing the exercises as well that I would recommend to a case like this. I did answer them, and I truly hope that they are doing better now. I really do. The last case number 4. This was last year. So female, age 63, living with FSH. There we go. Okay. Living with FSH for 15 years. Weakness in shoulder girdle, hips, core, and foot drop. Right-handed. The right-hand side is much weaker than the left-hand side. Again, just kind of bringing that up as an interesting point. I would kind of like to remind, if there is any member that may have material or research papers, studies that have been done of the prevalence of right-handed weakness within FSH. If they might even send through an email as well, I would greatly appreciate that. Trouble with overhead movements, double-winged scapula, also considering scapulothoracic fusion surgery. So I did have the opportunity to actually conduct a Zoom call with this FSH member. Really great woman. 15 years of a diagnosis. That's a very long diagnosis. She has understood her body, very much aware of her own capabilities, and kind of is seeing the improvements that she has done with her own exercises. She uses a rebounder, by the way, which I have researched ever since then, speaking to her last year, to actually be a really great form of exercise. Physiotherapists do actually recommend rebounders for their clients. It's not just something that kids use. Maybe you'll buy your child a trampoline, outside. They go outside and they jump and do backflips and front flips and kind of partake in parkour. But we can actually use rebounders as well as FSH patients. The general benefits of a rebounder are literally you will be strengthening your muscles, you'll be strengthening your bone structure as well. The endorphins that you feel from jumping up and down, yes, you do not necessarily have to be jumping up too high. There are handles that you can get that you hold on to the rebounder itself, with very small, consistent jumps as well. We do activate our core. We do activate the stabilizer muscles too. These are just very small movements that we do on the rebounders themselves. So I really found this interesting when she was telling me about it, because I always thought trampolines were for kids during that time. Even I used the trampoline for fun. But this is a really great a method that we can use even our old age, as we age. Keeps us young, keeps us active, really gets the blood flowing as well, improves our cardiovascular system. There's just so many benefits of a rebounder. Even if we do struggle with mobility, maybe we can hold on to the handles themselves, hold on to a surface, have somebody else help us with the actual, again, the assisted exercises. So this is just a very neat trick, a rebound for those maybe who are struggling with mobility issues and would like to get to exercising as well. Very small, consistent jumps. I'd really like to know if there is a FSH patient who kind of has maybe used the rebounder. They use it here now. Maybe they have one at home. What were their effects with it, or their own experiences with using a rebounder? Yeah, I'd like to hear about that. Okay. No rebound. Yes. Hello.
I'm pretty sure someone in one of our Zoom groups mentioned doing that. I don't know, Rick, do you remember anyone like in Wellness Hour?
Okay.
But I can't say who exactly. I remember I asked because I wasn't sure what they were talking about, but it's a small trampoline and you have
Exactly.
a handlebar you hold on to for stability.
Yes.
You don't go.
You do have a handlebar. Yeah.
Sounds like fun.
Oh, Hi,
some
Cheryl.
good music and you just,
Huh?
that's a great.
Hi, Cheryl.
Hi,
Yeah.
Lonwabo. Can you hear
Hi,
me?
hi there.
Cheryl,
Hi,
Cheryl,
I can hear you. Yeah,
Yes.
as I
Yeah, it
said,
was me last week. I
yes,
think it was the week before. We thought you were coming up, and
yes.
I mentioned that I'm doing the rebounder, and I'm still doing it. I'm up to sometimes 20 minutes, 30 minutes a day. As I say, I still hold on, but I can feel it's working for my balance. And sometimes when I do the health bounce, what they call the health bounce, then I can
Mm-hmm.
actually do it without holding onto the handlebar. So, you know, I've got that confidence already. But otherwise than that, I also do my, you know, the bridges for the, you know, your stomach muscles and all those kind of things. So I still do other exercises as well. But I feel that's also very good for your cardio health and everything as well.
Oh, thank you very much, Cheryl. I actually didn't see you there for a second. Yeah,
I'm quiet
yes,
on
so
this side.
yes, yes. So that is actually Cheryl, who I did have that I was speaking with. As I said, I wasn't going to mention any names here. I was really trying to keep it as anonymous as I could because yes, I didn't necessarily get the approval from these folk that has contacted me. But thank you very much, Cheryl, for actually
Yes,
availing yourself and telling us
yeah,
about that.
no,
Yeah,
yes, no
great experience.
problem.
Yeah.
Yes,
So I would also like to put that down in the presentation itself. I will do my own research on rebounding, the benefits, the general types of rebounding exercises. As you said, I think you mentioned one now, a method that you use. So I think I will be contacting you via email, so that we
yeah,
can also just put that down as well. But this is my end of the feeling fit session. Um, yeah, this is my end of it. I would like to request again that request that I had about the right-handed weakness. I don't know if anybody is aware again of a material that is out there, maybe June. Have you guys maybe covered something about that before?
I've never come across that, but I've been interested. People have brought it up before, and I would I would like to do a survey actually of our, community. Maybe I'll design, it should be a very simple survey, just
Mm,
are you handed one way or the other, and which side
yeah,
your body was
yeah,
affected
yeah,
first.
yeah.
And
Weight and spots. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it would be really interesting. Um,
Mm.
And I have to leave in a minute, but you're welcome to stay. Lonwabo, we will schedule another time. I think next 2 weeks from now, we're having Frank
Gosh.
do a Qigong session, but maybe in March, we can bring you
Yeah,
back
much.
about
That seems
that.
good. That seems
And
good for me.
yep. And for Cheryl, and I would love to do a blog post about your use of the rebounder. I think a lot of people will be very interested to hear
yeah.
about your experience.
I can just mention as well, they say it's very good for your lymphatic system, you know, all your lymphatic points and everything. So, yeah, so I think that's also like a health benefit, and it detoxes your body and everything. I, I believe that's very good for that as well.
Well, it sounds like it's good aerobic exercise. So if you have
Yes.
my email, or Lonwabo has my email, please, if you would like to write a little bit about it and send a picture,
Yes,
we
yeah,
will.
or I'll email Lonwabo and he can, but I'll also, with the greatest of pleasure, I'll do that.
Okay, thank you so much. And thank you, Lonwabo. Thank you, everybody. You can continue. Lonwabo is now the host, so you can continue if you'd like to have a little more conversation. And Rick says he'd like a video of the rebounding. So I have to run to another meeting, but we'll
Yeah.
see you next time. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you very much, June. On my end, I am also done with my session. Thanks to everybody who joined in and who shared their own experiences with these exercises, gave their own tips and their little tricks as well. I highly appreciate it. As I said, I am compiling a presentation, just like I did the previous Feeling Fit sessions, that I will be putting down and sending out. So yeah, thank you very much to everyone.